We know species are important in so many different ways. They provide us benefits, they provide benefits to the ecosystem, and each one is important either directly to us or indirectly. So what are we doing to protect these species? Well, it's actually been a fairly short journey so far in species protection. So where did it start? It really only started about a century ago, and it was with the downfall of the passenger pigeon. The passenger pigeon, this is a stuffed one here on the left, used to be one of the most abundant birds in the world. As far as we know, it was the most abundant bird in the world. It would stretch over miles and miles and darken the skies on a regular basis. But it went extinct. How did the most numerous bird in the world go extinct? Well, it was us. One thing, habitat loss. We were chopping down forests, tons of them at the time, making more way for farmland. But then also hunting. This painting is kind of depicting that. People would literally just shoot in the sky because the masses of birds were so great. They just shoot in the sky and down would fall dozens of birds. And it was a sport. So we caused the most abundant bird in the world to go extinct, and that was kind of a wake-up call. We realized that, wow, humans can have such a huge effect on populations. Even if you have a whole ton of those organisms, we can overhunt them. So there's a really cool video that kind of talks about the last passenger pigeon in the world that was kept at a zoo. So go ahead and pause here and watch that video real quick before progressing. There should be a link popping up on this screen, otherwise it is in your weekly guide. So go ahead and pause now and go watch that. After the passenger pigeon went extinct, it was only a couple years before our government started taking action and kind of owning up to realizing, oh yeah, humans kind of suck. So they passed the Migratory Bird Treaty. And what this treaty says, and it's still in effect today, is that you cannot hunt, you cannot take, you cannot capture, you cannot kill, you cannot sell birds or bird parts. So all of that should make sense for birds, but bird parts would mean eggs, would mean feathers. Yes, it is technically illegal to take bird feathers that are on the ground. Will someone arrest you for it? Likely not, but just fun fact for you, that is technically illegal. This protects every single species that is native to the United States. So all birds that originated in the United States are protected by this. An example of a non-native bird would be the house sparrow. That's the little brown birds you see everywhere. I don't recommend doing this, but you wouldn't get in trouble for killing them or doing whatever with them because they are not protected by this law. But about 800 other species are. Now, this treaty isn't just with the United States. We also share this treaty with Canada and Mexico and with Russia and Japan. And the reason it's between all of these countries is because a lot of the birds that are native here might migrate to Canada or migrate to Mexico during part of the year. Well, we want those species to be protected in other parts of the world too. And vice versa, a bird that's usually in Russia and comes over to the United States, we want to protect it because Russia is also protecting our birds. So this was a really great piece of legislature that not only brought countries together, but was also one of the first legislatures to protect organisms. You can see that not only were we using birds for hunting, but in different fashion trends. So really important that we started protecting these species because we saw what we could do quite easily. After this, not much happened as far as legislature goes in the environment. And it wasn't really until a book was published. Silent Spring. It was a book written by Rachel Carson. This is a non-fiction piece of work, but it was written in a fiction style. Even though everything in it was true, it was stylistically true. Rachel Carson was a scientist who also enjoyed creative writing, but she wrote about things she knew. And one of the things she noticed is that her springs were getting silent. What I mean by this is that literally it was quieter. She wasn't hearing as many birds chirping, and she did some more investigations, and she kind of started getting to the root that it was pollution that was causing the downfall in a lot of songbird species. You know, at this point in time in the US, we weren't really counting birds. We didn't really care. But she wrote this book, and because it was written in a way that could be digested by so many people, it got a lot of traction. And it's actually said to be one of the most influential books of environmental science because it changed the way the United States dealt with nature. And as I mentioned before, she was looking at birds and she found that it was a pesticide. We'll talk about that pesticide more in a little bit. But it was a pesticide that was affecting these bird populations. So she was able to effectively communicate science to the public, and this got people interested. This got people concerned. And when people like you and me get concerned about something, that inspires change. And that's exactly what happened. So this happened in 1962. Now, I won't ask you on the test for specific years, but you should know relative years. So passenger pigeon went extinct. That happened first, followed by the Migratory Bird Treaty. Kind of a downplayed for a couple 50 years before Silent Spring was published.